Hello, my name is Abilene Kurtz. Thank you for taking time to let me share with you, all of you future and some of you, perhaps even current entrepreneurs, a little bit about the US legal system. We are going to go through some of the system's foundational elements and its pertinence to the business world. The goal of this discussion is to understand why gaining legal knowledge is relevant to all types of leaders and entrepreneurs. First, we need to understand the need for this system. Why does the law exist? Well, it fills many purposes. It manages things like buying, selling, closing businesses. It clarifies taxation requirements. It protects consumers and so much more. It fulfills different roles at the federal and the state level and may differ depending on what type of organization it is being applied to. There are many reasons the law exists, but primarily it exists to fulfill the role of authority that is needed to create a stable society. Without it, we would have to depend on the goodwill of others alone. And even though utopian ideals may sound appealing, unfortunately, they are not often enough to create a safe society that will economically flourish. The foundational principles of our legal system reside within the US Constitution. The Constitution appropriately divides power between the federal and the state levels. At the federal level, we see our system broken down into three components: the legislative, judicial, and executive branches. The relationships between these three branches are called the checks and the balances. These relationships ensure that no one branch becomes too powerful. For example, if the legislative branch passes a law, the president within the executive branch may veto the law. If a law makes it through the legislative and the executive branches, it can still be stricken down by the judicial branch if it's proven to be unconstitutional. Though these checks and balances can make change difficult and slow at times, they ensure security and protection of our rights as citizens. The legislative, executive, and judicial branch are all subservient to the authority of the Constitution. Basic human protections, provision of choice, free speech, the right to trade, and much more is explicitly protected within that document and its attached Bill of Rights. There are three sources of US law. And although the Constitution is used as the basic guide for our entire system, statutes and cases exist as well. Cases impact law by setting a precedent concerning how the courts must interpret those same laws in the future. For example, in the case of Roberts and Sealand, Roberts filed for disability pay for a work-related injury. Sealand provided her with payment at a rate which was appropriate for the year in which the injury initially occurred. Roberts was unhappy with this because the amount was much lower than it would have been if it had been calculated based on the year in which she actually filed for the benefits. When taken to court, Roberts was awarded disability pay for her company at the rate correlating with the year in which she filed for the payment rather than the year in which she received the initial injury. This set a precedent for how future courts should deal with businesses structuring payment for their disabled employees. Precedent is important for maintaining a consistent interpretation of the law. Statutes are different. They're the laws that pass through all three branches of government and are part of the US Code. Businesses need to understand statutory law in order to meet things like business codes and other requirements. The US Constitution is the highest level of US law. It is what is used to determine whether or not all other laws are valid. It is full of articles and clauses, including the Commerce Clause. The Commerce Clause is what allows the federal government to regulate business. It initially was created to help foster economic relationships between states, countries, and Native American tribes. Now, the commerce regulations at a federal level are used to do much more. For example, the federally regulated Americans with Disabilities Act protects individuals from being discriminated against in the workplace. As discussed, the Commerce Clause is a power granted at the federal level. Just as there are federal and state level laws, there are federal and state level courts. Subject matter jurisdiction helps determine what type of court will preside over a given case. Most all cases are left to the state courts. The venue used for a given state case is most commonly dictated by the geographic location of the person or company involved. Permits and licenses, real estate and property laws, and business purchases are all overseen by state laws. Therefore, breaches of these business laws will be heard by state courts. Federal courts reign over cases involving other issues, such as trademarking, intellectual property, and the equal employment opportunity. There are two types of cases that are dealt with in those courts: civil law cases and criminal law cases. The easiest way to distinguish civil law from criminal law is this. Civil law is a dispute between two individual parties or between a person and the government. Criminal law, on the other hand, deals with incidents in which an individual acts against the entire public. Alternative dispute resolution is used as a replacement for many civil law occurrences. Most often, it is used to settle disputes between employers and employees. Alternative dispute resolution, or ADR, refers to negotiation, mediation, and other forms of mainstream problem solving that does not take the issue to court and does not involve lawyers. It is an appealing alternative because it offers much cheaper solutions most of the time than taking a case to court. Alternative dispute resolution oftentimes involves a neutral third party to help settle the situation. So, what do we as future or current entrepreneurs take from all this? Well, we now understand why it is so critical and beneficial for every business owner and leader to understand our US legal system. It can be complicated, but it is worth it. Knowing that state laws, for example, differ from place to place is important, especially when with modern technology, people have the ability to contact your business from anywhere, and the possibility for a nationwide business is ever growing in accessibility. Things like understanding employment laws can save owners from major lawsuits. Knowing that from the start, an alternative dispute resolution may be used to avoid the court system and can dramatically save time and resources, that's another great pro. Our legal system is an important tool for building a strong economy that benefits both businesses and their customers while protecting them both in the best way it can. It holds parties accountable while leaving them with plenty of freedom. America is built on individual creativity, your individual creativity. The road each entrepreneur designs and the value that they derive from the tools that they have. The growth that these ideas catalyze in society. Understanding the legal system means understanding the structure that facilitates modern prosperity. If you have a business or you lead in your community even, you rely on the system. It's been best to seek understanding, know the ropes that support the platform we are standing upon. Thank you so much for your time. Again, my name is Abilene Kurtz. Are there any questions?